What up,
As you know,
friends?
we have been talking a lot about a TikTok ban. Yes, I've talked about this story 3 times now on this show. It's probably the most talked about story we've had on this show. TikTok will be banned starting this Sunday, barring an 11th hour sale to a U.S. buyer, or if the Supreme Court changes their mind. But just this past Friday, the Supreme Court justices indicated that they would enforce the ban, expressing concern that the Chinese government could use the data of millions of Americans gathered by the app, because the parent company is called ByteDance and they are located in China. Obviously, if you watch this show, you know I agree with this. I do believe for information security purposes, InfoSec purposes, they should be required to sell their U.S. portion. But a lot of people are going to be very upset. A lot of people use TikTok as their life's work for content creation, for selling products. It's a huge search engine now, as I've mentioned before. So we will see what happens. But as of now, unless someone swoops in at the last minute, TikTok will be banned from any U.S. stores or access on internet browsers. But are not on TikTok yet, and you want to be on there, they will still, or the people who already have the app downloaded to their phone will still be able to use it. Yeah, how long that will last, I don't know. That's temporary. If you already have the app, you're grandfathered in, so you don't have to worry about losing access right away. But at some point, it's probably still going to happen. For those of you who don't have it, if you want to be on it, you might want to get on there before Sunday, because then they take it out of all the stores and you can't access it on internet browsers after the 19th. So, pretty crazy. I figured that the Supreme Court would rule this way, but I also thought that we would have already had a buyer by now, and that the Chinese parent company ByteDance would have already sold. So the fact that we've gotten this close to a date that it could possibly be a ban is yeah, that blows my mind a little bit. I really thought that this would have been solved by now. There is one buyer out there. If you've ever watched Shark Tank, investor Kevin O'Leary says he has enough of him and his investor buddies to be able to buy TikTok. So I don't know. I don't actually know what the valuation of that would be. I assume it's in the B's of billions of dollars. Actually, I know it's in the billions of dollars, but since it's the U.S. portion only, it's probably going to be less. So I don't know what it would actually be to buy that. But Kevin O'Leary says he would just need Donald Trump to help him finalize the sale, which will require the Supreme Court to pause the law before January 19th and require ByteDance to sign off. Again, why does this matter? Because in the United States alone, TikTok is used by at least 33% of adults and over 50% of teens, meaning that it would ban communications on that platform for millions. And again, you'll have a certain period of time where you'll be able to still use the app, but that's not going to be forever. So I think it'll get sold. I think a U.S. company will buy it. I don't know if it's going to happen by the deadline now since we're so close, but I do think that a U.S. company will buy that portion. I thought it would have been like Microsoft or something like that already, but we'll see. Anyways, moving on. Speaking of social media, Meta, Mark Zuckerberg, trying to get into the good graces of Donald Trump, has announced that he will be eliminating all of the fact-checking on Meta, and instead Facebook will now move to a community notes type system, which is employed by X or Twitter. After Elon Musk bought it, he got rid of the professional fact checkers. Community notes are when other users on the platform actually check you. So if you see somebody, they post something, you're like, nah, that's not correct. You community note them and you just check them and you put whatever the right thing is. Now, obviously people can use that to be deceitful. So you've got to be careful even when you're reading those things. But it hasn't been much worse, they say, than when they actually had the professional fact check. Excuse me. On X specifically, the share of notes rated as helpful has been falling consistently to 7% in November, but another study showed that the community notes work just as well as professional fact checkers. Now, I would hesitate to believe that completely, but as I am a big X user, because that's where I get most of my news and promote shows and stuff like that, I think that the community notes are helpful in a sense where if someone is trying to spread disinformation, there's always going to be someone on the other side of you, and they're going to want to come in and correct that. And usually they won't try to be deceitful. Well, I can't say that, not usually, but you would hope that they would not try to be deceitful, as obviously they could get checked themselves. But what's really going to hurt here is that when X first employed this, a lot of advertisers dropped out and stopped advertising on the platform because they were worried that their ads would show up in the same feeds as controversial topics and things like that, which as someone who has run thousands and thousands of social media ads, I understand this quite well. And so Meta's business is ads. Meta's whole business is ads. Actually, as of the third quarter of last year, ads accounted for 98% of their total revenue. $40.6 billion. It's true. I've run so many Facebook ads out the wazoo for so many clients. I can tell you that clients spend a boatload of money on that platform selling ads and have no problem doing it. Even smaller companies. I remember I had a small healthcare company and they sold like prosthetics and things like that. And I was running their account and they were going 10,000 per month on ads. Just popping them out like they got money growing off trees. And maybe they did. They were selling their products for a lot. So, hey, you sell a couple products, you can pay for the ads. But still, that's how they keep everything going at Meta. So if they were to lose a bunch of advertisers like X did, that could definitely hurt them much more than it did when Elon Musk bought the X platform. So just something to let you know, but be on the lookout for that. Social media getting a little hectic. Apple antitrust lawsuit begins today in the United Kingdom. What is this, you ask? Well, Apple, obviously the tech giant, faces claims that it charges excessive fees on App Store downloads. And now they're facing up to $1.8 billion in fines. Is this true, my Apple users? Y'all know me. If you're my friend, if you've known each other, you know I'm an Android user all the way. Android all day. Screw Apple. I don't like any Apple products, but I know most of the world, I get it. Most of the world uses Apple. Y'all can be sheep. Bah, bah, sheep. You're all sheeple. Anyways, by the way, you didn't know Apple uses Samsung's operating system hardware anyway, so you're really just using a Samsung with a nice coat of paint on it, like a person driving a Lexus and thinking they better than a Toyota when a Lexus is just a Toyota with the Lexus name on it. Anyways, off my high horse, Apple will face up to $1.8 billion in charges in the UK. So see what happens there. As always, the professor will keep you updated. That's why you come here.